Case Sports Podcast. Now with intro music. Well, hello and welcome to what used to be the Doug Show Podcast, but due to terrible branding and name choices by me, we have now switched it to the Case Sports Podcast. I really liked the Doug Show Podcast, but when you search Doug Show Podcast, you get all of Doug Benson shows, Doug Stanhope stuff, every podcast that the two of them have been on, and it just makes it really just a pain in the ass to find this podcast. So, after doing some thinking, some soul searching, I came up with the Case Sports Podcast. Now, Case Sports, the name itself, used to be the name of my dad's sporting good company that he had when I was a kid. So we had it. He did screen printing, sporting goods, and he hasn't had it for about 10, 15 years. So I was kind of going through and trying to think of a name to name this podcast now, and I was actually wearing one of the old Case Sports t-shirts. So when I was sitting there, I was thinking, going through names, I was like, oh, you know what? And it just hit me. I was like, perfect. Got the logo, got everything taken care of. So, boom, there you have it, Case Sports. But, as you saw when you clicked on this to listen or download, this is the Politic Podcast. So, from now on, instead of doing a short Thursday podcast and then the longer 30-minute, 45-minute podcasts on the weekend, I'm just going to do two podcasts from now on still, but one politics, one sports. Keep them separated. Let them be two different things so you can decide which one you want to listen to. I hope you listen to both, but if you only want to listen to the politics, if you only want to listen to sports, there, now you can make your decisions. And yeah, it's all there for you. I haven't had a podcast the last couple weeks because my daughter was born last week, and I haven't made it to the studio to be able to actually record or had time to record from my house, so it just hasn't really worked out. But I figured wait till I got back to the studio so I can sit down and knock this out for you. So no more delay. So much has happened since the last Doug Show podcast. The world of politics has been completely turned upside down thanks to Ted Cruz and John Kasich dropping out of the Republican run for president, and now there is one man. The one man who, when last summer announced he was running for president, on the Republican side, we all laughed at. We all said, ha ha, very funny, Trump. Go back to your real estate and your reality TV. And now here we are, May 7th, and the joke's on us. He is the presumptive Republican nominee. It's happening, folks. There's no more of this backdooring things that the Republican Party seemed like they were trying to do and screwing him out of this. Kasich and Cruz, even though they came together to thwart Trump from getting the number of delegates needed to win the nomination outright, it's over. He did it. He is the Republican nomination. He's the guy that will be running on the Republican ticket. Donald Trump. And I have to say, it's not, I keep seeing people say, man, how did this happen? How did we get to this point? It's not very surprising when you look at the big picture. For this, you have to go back years and years and years. And honestly, it's not just the Republican side. Now, the Republican side should take a lot of the blame for this happening because they're the ones who, since 2008, they have dominated. 36 governor positions are held by Republicans. The House, the Senate. State legislators, everything, majority is run by Republicans in this country. The House and the Senate, all those people ran on repealing Obamacare. Didn't happen. Instead, they all became friends with the Democrats. And now you're seeing it. This is the Republicans. The Republican electorate is upset with their party. And they said, you know what, screw it. We're not going to vote for the establishment people. We are going to go just completely the other way, and we're going to vote for Trump. Because Trump, since the Paris terrorist attack in November, I feel like that's when he really skyrocketed in popularity. And he was just basically saying all the things that the other people were scared to say. You know, about national security, about terrorism, and, you know, immigration too, with the whole wall thing. And not only has he stuck by those comments when he's been called a racist and a crazy and a nut, and he's doubled down on them. And it's really shown, you know, the Republican electorate, you know, it's made them stop and go, hey, wait a minute. This guy says what he means, and we think he means what he says. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. That will be, you know, we'll see what happens if he's elected. But he's stuck with his guns. He's owned what he said. He has never gone back and said, oh, well, you know what, maybe I'm just, I shouldn't have said that, or, you know, I was misunderstood or misquoted. He just said, no, yeah, that's all those things. Those are exactly what I've said. Yeah, so what? Deal with it. And it's completely stuck with so many people on his side, because it's a refreshing thing, even if you don't agree with what he says, to have a guy come out and say these things. And then when the media attacks him, when the left attacks him, because everyone else on the left has attacked over the last, 10, 20 years, they always retreat and say, oh, that's not what I meant, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we need to. And I think that's one of the things that drives people crazy, especially like when Obama got elected. And if you attacked Obama, you were considered racist. And I think that's one of the reasons why you don't see Obamacare getting repealed, even though all these people ran on it, because they got to, they get there and they go, but if we try to repeal Obamacare, we're racist. We hate the people because we want to repeal, we want to take away their health care, even though so many of these people didn't have it before. Even though a majority of the country voted to overturn Obamacare with the referendum and the midterm elections. And now you're seeing a guy, Donald Trump, who's not afraid to step down to the left. And in fact, he's taking the fight right to them and giving it back and just getting meaner and crazier than they are. And he's connected with the voters on the right completely. I mean, he was the outsider. He stole the whole outsider thing, which Ted Cruz was going to run on. And if Trump was in this, I think Ted Cruz wins. I think he has a little bit of a battle, but I mean, it's hard to say because Trump went through and he took out Christie, he took out Bush, he took out all these other guys on his way in, like one by one, just taking them out. Calling Marco Rubio Little Marco, things like that. He went through and systematically took everybody out one by one. And I don't know if Cruz could have done that, but Cruz would have been the outsider. He would have had the outsider vote. That was his whole thing, and Trump came in and completely took that from him because Trump was even more the outsider than Ted Cruz, who legitimately is the outsider and people don't like on the right. And now you're already seeing, now that Trump has the presumptive Republican nomination, he's already taken it to Hillary and taking it and hitting her hard. And it's going to be interesting to see if Hillary, first of all, can even, she still has two obstacles, the two obstacles being, is she going to get indicted, and Bernie Sanders. Now, I don't think she's going to get indicted. I really don't. I think Sanders has a better chance of somehow winning the Democratic nomination than Hillary does of getting indicted, because I just don't think they're going to turn on her. We're already seeing that the Justice Department's hiding stuff, that, hiding some of her emails from people, so you can't see it, so you can't really know exactly what's in the emails because they're trying to protect her. And it's not going to happen. She's an insider. She's a political insider. They're going to protect her. Sanders mathematically doesn't have a chance to actually win. Right now, he's just hoping that he can win a lot of the upcoming primaries. It's looking like he's going to win West Virginia and Oregon coming up. California's in play. He has a legit chance of winning the votes in California. That doesn't mean he's going to win the delegates, because the whole super delegate and that whole crazy thing that goes on there. But he has vowed that he's going to stay in this until June 14th, which is the day of the Democratic convention, which means we're almost a month away from seeing Trump versus Hillary finally really take place. Now, Sanders is saying he's going to stick in this, he's going to try to win as much as he can, and he's going to try to flip some of these super delegates in some of these states that he's already won, but somehow came out the loser in the delegate math because of the whole weird super delegate thing that Obama came up with and put in play on the Democratic side. And it's really funny to see the Sanders people come out and accuse the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton of voter fraud and manipulating stuff, manipulating the results. When this is the whole thing the Republicans have been saying for as long as I can remember being alive. I've always heard these things from Republicans saying, oh, the Democratic slogan is vote early, vote often, or, they have that saying, you see it all the time when you go on Facebook or websites and you read comments on things. The Democrats, Hillary supporters especially will say, hey, Sanders supporters, just remember, it doesn't matter who, just vote blue in November. I mean, that's their thing. They'll come together and they will support their own, which is something Republicans, and they've shown the last two general elections, won't do. I mean, a lot of them came out and just didn't vote to support John McCain or Mitt Romney because they didn't believe in them. And you don't necessarily see that on the Democratic side. They always come together and as one. But this year, I think it's going to be different because I think there's enough Sanders supporters, and he's got this huge online presence and the people online, and he's got the kids out there that he's going to raise. I mean, they don't like Hillary. I mean, they have said it. They got it trending the night that Ted Cruz dropped out. They had #DropOutHillary because they think, and I agree with them, I think Bernie's got the best chance to support Trump because I think Trump, I don't think he's going to go, he won't go as hard, and there's not as much out there to go after Sanders on other than the whole socialist thing. I don't think that's a battle that Trump can win. And I don't think it's a battle he wants to fight. He's even said that he's looking forward to taking on Hillary because it'll be funner to run against her. Yes, he said the word funner. And I think more people are going to be willing to go, oh, you know what, maybe maybe this whole Bernie side. And I think it will be the same way people got caught up in all the excitement for Obama because of how he had the youth vote and how he got the people out in the grassroots movement out there to support him, which you didn't see John McCain or Mitt Romney have. You see it in Sanders. Sanders has that. He has the people come together. I mean, he's not even putting the stuff together. His campaign's not even putting stuff together. There's people coming out and just saying, hey, let's get together in this city and we'll go door to door and we'll get, the independents out and we'll talk to them about getting out and voting and blah, blah, blah. You see it all the time. I was parked in a parking lot of a co-op a couple weeks ago, and there's just a guy walking around talking to people about Bernie Sanders, and he's handing out stickers, and he's telling them how to get vote or to get registered or how to change their voter registration to vote in the New Mexico primary. And you just don't. You don't see it from the other people. I mean, you won't see it from the Trump people. I highly doubt that. You're not seeing it from the Hillary, and Hillary's done terrible in this primary cycle with the youth vote. And I just don't think they're going to go. And they have said they won't go. They won't vote Hillary. They will go third party. And we will get into that third party person pretty soon. But Trump's already gone after her. And he's already teeing off on her. And she's sitting there and she's taking fire from both sides because she's got it coming from Bernie as well. Bernie's still going after her. So Hillary's having to put out fires on both ends. And she's going to have to do this at least for the next month while Trump's hitting the ground running. He was in Oregon this week campaigning in a blue